Welcome to the Daily Bible for Kids podcast. The day is April the 29th. My name's Hunter, and we are reading through the Bible. That's something we do every day. We take time in God's Word. We let His Word take its time on us. In fact, kids from all around the world are gathering here, listening to these amazing stories from the Bible, from Genesis all the way to the book of Revelation. And today we are in the book of Nehemiah. As Nehemiah and the Israelites were rebuilding the city walls around Jerusalem, they met opposition from their enemies. How did Nehemiah respond? Let's read about it from Nehemiah chapter 4. Sanballat was very angry when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of his friends and the Samaritan army officers, "What does this bunch of poor, feeble Jews think they're doing? Do they think they can just build a wall in a single day by just offering a few sacrifices? Do they actually think they can make something of stones from a rubbish heap and charred ones at that?" Tobiah the Ammonite, who was standing beside him, remarked, "That stone wall will collapse even if a fox walked along the top of it." Then I prayed, "Hear us, our God, for we are being mocked. May their scoffing fall back on their own heads, and may they themselves become captives in a foreign land. Do not ignore their guilt. Do not blot out their sins, for they have provoked you to anger here in front of the builders." At last the wall was completed to half its height around the entire city, for the people had worked with enthusiasm. But when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabs, Ammonites, and Ashdodites heard that the work was going ahead, and that gaps in the wall of Jerusalem were being repaired, they were furious. They all made plans to come and fight against Jerusalem and throw us into confusion. But we prayed to our God and guarded the city day and night to protect ourselves. Then the people of Judah began to complain. "The workers are getting tired and there's so much rubble to be moved. We'll never be able to build the wall by ourselves." Meanwhile, our enemies were saying, "Before they know what's happening, we'll swoop down on them and kill them and end their work." The Jews who lived near the enemy came and told us again and again, "They will come from all directions and attack us." So I placed armed guards behind the lowest parts of the wall in the exposed areas. I stationed the people to stand guard by families, armed with swords, spears, and bows. Then as I looked over the situation, I called together the nobles and the rest of the people and said to them, "Don't be afraid of the enemy. Remember the Lord who is great and glorious, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes." When our enemies heard that we knew of their plans and that God had frustrated them, we all returned to work on the wall. But from then on, only half my men worked, while the other half stood guard with spears, shields, and bows, and coats of mail. The leaders stationed themselves behind the people of Judah, who were building the wall. The laborers carried on their work with one hand supporting their load and the other hand holding a weapon. All the builders had a sword belted to their side. The trumpeters stayed with me to sound the alarm. Then I explained to the nobles and officials and all the people, "The work is very spread out, and we're widely separated from each other along the wall. When you hear the blast of the trumpet, rush to wherever it is sounding. Then our God will fight for us." We worked early and late, from sunrise to sunset, and half the men were always on guard. Wow, what a time of stress and tension. The enemies were insulting them and mocking them and threatening them. And it's real easy to get discouraged when those kinds of things are happening. And yet God gave Nehemiah and the leaders wisdom on how to continue to do the work, even when they're facing such hostile opposition. God can do that for us too. Sometimes people attack us. Sometimes they say terrible things about us. And that can be so discouraging. But when that happens, we can do what Nehemiah did. He prayed. He prayed, and God gave him wisdom on how to continue to go forward even when we're being attacked. And God will do that for you, just as He did for Nehemiah. And that is really good news. Well, hey, we've done it again. We've spent another day in the Bible. I'm going to head on my way now, but what do you say we show up again here tomorrow and we'll do the same thing? Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I plan on being here. Until that time, let's go forward in God's joy. Let's Let's let His joy be our strength, and let us always remember this, that you are loved. No doubt about it. Alrighty, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. You guys take care.